years here because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I really want to dig into some issues and find out what the topics are here in Rhode Island. So I'd like to introduce John Canole. He's with DayOne in Rhode Island. Hi, John. How you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you.
So good to see you. Appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for
on.
having me.
Thanks for coming to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. So really wanted to talk about Sexual Assault Awareness Month and talk a little bit about what the issues are here in Rhode Island, and talk a little bit about DayOne and what you are doing within the community, because you are really multifaceted. So talk to us a little bit about what your organization does, and we'll start things off there.
Sure. So our mission at DayOne is to really prevent sexual assault from happening in the community, and we do that through numerous services and programs that we offer, ranging from education and prevention, clinical therapy groups. We have a helpline. So really trying to support any victims that are around.
And this is such a difficult issue to talk about.
It is.
And so we want to make sure that we're doing due diligence and getting the word out there as well. So I was really going over some of the numbers, some of the statistics, and really staggering just what's reported. So really difficult to just digest this information.
Exactly.
Some of the stats, really are troubling. In Rhode Island, estimated 1 in 8 women have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime. So let's talk about really what some of the issues are here in Rhode Island.
Well, as you said, it's a very heavy topic that people often don't want to talk about. That's why Sexual Assault Awareness Month is so important, just to spread awareness, let people know it happens everywhere. It's happening right here in Rhode Island. So the biggest key is really prevention and education, that this can be prevented, and with the goal that someday it'll never happen.
And what are some of the topics that you're discussing when you talk about prevention? Because it's one of those, it's kind of hard to talk about. Well, how do I prevent someone from assaulting me?
I think that education is key in that, letting people know that there's no victim blaming. No one asks for this. And really, especially with the youth, letting them know what a healthy relationship is. They're not, expected to do certain things, and really getting early in that, being an active bystander as well.
Okay. And what does that mean, being an active bystander? What message are you trying to get out to the young people?
So if you see something, say something, basically. Our education team is great. They're in schools statewide, and one of their programs is Your Voice, Your View, and that's what they are working on, is being an active bystander and letting them know, showing different scenarios and saying, all right, what didn't look right here, and what could they have done to support someone?
And it's really interesting to know just how much DayOne is doing. You're really out working with adults, you're working with college level, you're working with high school level, and you're working with children.
Yeah.
When you're out doing the education programs, and you're looking at that active bystander role, and you're out working with the people who are victims, what are you seeing within the community? Are you seeing more people willing to step up, as more awareness gets out there?
I think so. I think that, when we go into the schools, people are supportive. They know that, yes, this is an important issue, and they're willing to say, yeah, I think I would do something, or I would step up or say something. Even reporting, I think more victims now, that people are starting to talk about sexual assault more. They're more comfortable in reporting, where a lot of times victims feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't report or something like that. We want to get rid of that everyone should report, they'll be believed, they'll be supported, and go through prosecution and all that if they can. Yeah.
That's good to know. One of the other statistics that you had sent me was that it was something like, I don't have it here, but it was something like 59% are only reported in Rhode Island, I believe.
Yeah.
That's pretty discouraging as well. Is there a push to encourage more people to report what's going on?
Absolutely. To get the word out that they can report, I think one of the biggest issues, the victim has to feel safe to be able to report, that nothing's going to happen to them, that they'll be believed, that they'll be supported. So that's one of the biggest things we're trying to push and accomplish.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some of the work that you are doing within high schools. I was really surprised to find almost 9% of Rhode Island's high school students reported that they had experienced sexual violence by someone they were dating or going out with within the past year. That turns my stomach.
Right. I think that goes along with the advocating for healthy relationships, letting youth, teenagers know that, there's an expectation sometimes that, they should be doing something or not. But letting them know that it's okay to, stand up for yourself, and that if you're not comfortable with something, you don't have to do anything.
So what are some of the messages that parents can talk to? Like, what are you telling parents if your child feels like they're in, high school? We're talking about, 14 to 18-year-olds. That's young.
Yeah.
What do you talk to your kids about, or what can parents say to their child if they feel like they're in an unhealthy relationship as a teenager on either end? Maybe they're a victim, or maybe they're the ones who are doing unhealthy behaviors to their partner.
I think the biggest advice for parents is to talk to your child, letting them know it's a safe conversation and being an open dialogue. You're not just giving a lecture to your child, really asking questions and getting them involved so they know that it's a safe place, letting them know that they can come to them to talk if something's going on, or talking to someone they trust to get support. And that's really the key.
Okay. And again, that's so tough, because those teenage years are critical years when you're developing, your emotions, your body's developing.
Right.
That has to be so hard. And teenagers come to DayOne when they're experiencing this, right?
Right. Yeah, we work with people of all ages, all genders, all everything. So it's unfortunately an issue that is not segmented. It happens to anyone, anywhere.
Okay. For younger kids, what are you seeing in Rhode Island when it comes to sexual assault or sexual abuse? Is there a problem here when we're talking about this?
As I said, it happens everywhere, so obviously here as well. I don't know the exact number, but the majority of our victims that come in are children, unfortunately. So we work with the children. We have the children's advocacy centers throughout the state, so that the child can come in and just tell their story once to a multidisciplinary team, so that they're not reliving and saying their story over and over again to every single person, or the law enforcement or the courts or any of that. We try to keep it as painless as possible for these children.
And when you are working with these children, what's some advice for parents? We kind of talked about the teenage aspect of things. What's a good idea for parents to do?
I think, getting rid of some of those misconceptions where maybe they think of child sexual abuse as only happening to girls, or it's always a stranger or something like that, where in actuality it happens to both boys and girls. And I think it's 75% of the time it's they know their perpetrator, and oftentimes it's a family member, unfortunately. So just letting them know that, look for the signs, letting their children know they can come to them, and teaching them, if something doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. So to tell someone, and they won't be in trouble if they say something, even if it's a family member. It's important to just say something's happening.
And that's so, it just, like I said, it kind of makes you sick to your stomach to think that if your child's coming to you and saying something that, my uncle or, my aunt or someone is doing something that's making me uncomfortable, what do you do as a parent? Who do you reach out to? What can a parent do then in that situation? That's hard to hear. That can be devastating. Do you get parents coming to you saying, I don't know what to do?
Yeah, we have a helpline people can call. They can call us right at DayOne, talk to law enforcement. We're actually I believe the first state in the entire country that has law enforcement advocates in every police station in the state. So if anyone has a question, they can call them, and they can kind of walk them through the legal process and all that going forward.
Because that can be so devastating, not only for the child, but that can tear the family apart too.
Exactly, and we don't just work with the children, we also work with the family too if something happened, and trying to give them the support, because as you said, it's not just the child who's affected, it's the entire family.
And you want to make sure that you're keeping that child safe working through the whole process.
Exactly.
That's critical.
Exactly.
When you're giving that support to everybody. Let's talk a little bit. So we've talked about the teenagers, we've talked about the younger children, we've talked a little bit about the adults. Let's talk about sexual assault. It seems to be problematic on college campuses. Let's talk about the work that you're doing here in Rhode Island about the new cross-campus college learning collaborative for sexual violence prevention.
Well, college-age people, I think it's 18 to 34 is the highest at risk for sexual assault. So that's really the key demographic of where these assaults happen. And the college collaborative, really, we brought together the entire state, colleges, universities, technical schools. So there's representation of everyone, and they are coming together monthly and really with the goal of supporting students and making them feel safe. So they meet monthly and kind of share information. You know, if something happened at one school, they might say, this is how we reacted, and this is kind of best practices and procedures to kind of get a sense that everyone should be doing the same kind of thing.
And when did you guys start this? Because this is new.
It's new. It initially started 2 years ago, and it's just grown. It's great. We have representation from every school now. It started with just a few, and now everyone's involved, and people look forward to it. And even now, just this year, they started a student collaborative. So students from every school in the state are coming together and spreading their issues and making sure that everyone's aware and feeling safe in their schools.
That's fantastic. Have you seen, has there been any showcase that this has worked in terms of whether it's awareness or a decrease in sexual assaults on campuses, or shown pushback in any?
It's tough to say whether there's been a decrease or not.
Maybe it's shown more reporting.
We've seen more reporting, which is always a good thing.
Okay.
It's not necessarily meaning there are more assaults happening.
Yeah.
But people are feeling comfortable now to come forward and report, knowing that they'll be believed, that they'll be supported through their school and through the community, and that's really important.
It's such a tough thing, not only just to talk about, but something to measure. I mean, something like this,
exactly.
How do you measure it? And how do you measure progress?
And as you said, it's very tough to talk about, and that's why Sexual Assault Awareness Month is so important, because we're getting the word out. We have, you might see the ads on RIPTA buses, on the side of buses. We have radio campaign going on, social media campaign, just getting out facts and statistics and letting the general public know this is happening here. Anyone can be involved, and just to really keep going and trying to prevent sexual assaults.
What do you think the biggest issue is in Rhode Island that we need to tackle as a society or as legislators when it comes to sexual assault?
One of the buzz topics right now is human trafficking. People think that that's just something that happens overseas or in big cities, where in actuality it's happening here in Rhode Island. It's happening in every city and town in the state. DayOne actually works with currently about 75 children who are victims of CSEC, which is commercial sexual exploitation of children. So they were on the streets in the life, and we're working with them to support them, let them know they don't have to do this, and just going forward and getting out of the life.
And how do we stop this? Like, how can we make this not a thing? I mean, that's...
Talking about it. I mean, that's a big thing. We have some legislation going to the state now called Safe Harbor, which is, any child who is involved in sexual exploitation, they're a victim. They can't, we don't want them arrested for prostitution. They're a victim because they were forced into it, coerced into it. We see some people are threatened, their families are threatened, or things like that. So it's not their choice. Okay.
And are we looking at tougher penalties for the people that are forcing them into this? Are we looking at that? Is that an option, or?
Yeah, tougher penalties for human trafficking and for just sexual assaults in general is very important. Letting the victims feel like when they do come forward, something's happening.
Okay, good. Because that is to know that it's happening right here in our community, and also giving a voice to these people who are victims, I feel like is a positive step
giving
forward.
a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's talk about some of the upcoming activities that you have, some fundraising initiatives, and some other things that you have going on within the next. You have something coming up, I believe, April 26th, and then
so
in May and June.
We've had events all month for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We've been heavy in the schools, reaching them with workshops and panels and discussions. The 26th is actually Denim Day. So that actually came from a Superior Court case in Italy, actually, where a judge said that the victim must have helped remove her jeans because they were very tight jeans, so that implied consent. So the perpetrator got off with it because of that, and so in bringing awareness to that and kind of stopping victim blaming, everyone should wear denim jeans on the 26th, just a sign of solidarity in that we shouldn't be blaming victims for what they wear, how they act. If something happens like that, it's never the victim's fault.
All right, so wear your tightest pair of jeans on April 26th, everyone. Tony, that's you. Wear some tight jeans on April 26th.
And then,
wow. Okay.
May 1 for DayOne, so May 1st, we're having a small kind of a culminating of the Sexual Assault Awareness Month event at McBride's Pub, which is our neighbor down on in Wayland Square area. So come on in. There'll be guest bartenders from some of our staff and our supporters, raffle prizes, things like that. And then our biggest fundraiser of the year is actually going to be in June on the 21st, the solstice. That's going to be Dine for DayOne.
Cool.
It's a really cool event where it's kind of a taste of theme. So different restaurants throughout the state are coming in with samples and cocktails and Thai food, and it's just going to be great. It's at the Water Place, Skyline at Water Place, so it's a brand new, they redid it, so it'll be a fantastic event. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you coming in and filling us in on all things happening with DayOne and your progress moving forward, hoping to end the problem with sexual assault here in Rhode Island and nationwide. So look forward to hearing from you more in the future.
Thank you.
Let's take a picture so we can get the document that you were here.